You can join us live for our next BookFunnel webinar. Check out the link in the description for more details. We hope to see you there. All right. So we're going to be talking ebook signing basics today. And I have a few slides I want to go over here that are kind of introductory. So if you have already, for example, been to one of our ebook signing webinars previously or at Author Nation, I did do a talk there on ebook signing and did a presentation. So if you were there, you're going to recognize some of this stuff. I'm using these slides because for some of you, this is new and you've never seen this before, right? So don't totally tune out if you've seen these slides before. This is just information I want to make sure that everybody has before we get too far along. I don't want to make any assumptions that you guys have been here to one of these sessions before or not. So I just make sure that you, just pay attention. Pay attention in class, kids. Let's get to it. So we're going to cover what ebook signing is, digital ebook signing, some use cases, and then you'll notice here, we're going to get to the demo and the Q&A right away. We're going to spend the majority of our time on the demo and the Q&A, answering your questions and showing you how it works on the dashboard. So what is digital ebook signing? Some of you might already know. Digital ebook signing is it's no longer a beta feature. It is an actual real feature. I'll have to fix that, folks. But it allows you to sign ebooks for readers at events, right? It allows you to, whether they're in person or virtual events, whatever the case may be, it allows you to actually sign an ebook much like you would any other book. Readers will receive a link to their customized ebook by email with your signature, a message, and any other customization that you add. I'll show you again how we'll do that in the demo here, how all that works. But that will be included in their version of the book. And just like if they receive a signed paperback, it'll be unique to them. This feature performs best on a tablet. I do have a tablet here to demonstrate that today, but I will be doing some of the demo on my laptop. Smartphones can work. Computer can work in a pinch if it has a touchpad, but I recommend a tablet if you have one, folks. Also, like if you have an iPad, an Apple Pencil is great. The feature is released. What am I talking about? Well, geez, did I pull up the wrong slides? I might have. Either way, the feature is released. We're here already. In the past, it wasn't released yet. And so just keep in mind that we might still implement some changes even while it's released. We have already implemented a few improvements to the feature even in the time that has been released. Right? So just keep that in mind. We might be adding a few new things here and there. We're actually open to your feedback as well. If you're like, hey, I want to use it in this way, and it's not exactly something I can do yet, the way the feature's laid out, or hey, it's not working the way I expected it to in this setting, let us know, and we will implement some of those things for you. So some use cases. I already mentioned in-person signings. The feature can complement your paperback and hardback signings that you're already doing, if you're already doing them. It's a totally valid thing to include there. When we've done this at events already, we did it at Reader Nation, actually, at the BookFunnel booth. And there were a number of readers who thought, wow, that's really cool. You can sign an ebook. And so there's maybe a little bit of novelty there, but it is still useful at those types of events. If you are at a book event, maybe with a bunch of other authors, keep in mind, most readers who come to those events, they only have so many books they can carry. And some of them might be thinking to themselves, you know what? I've run out of room. I can't get any more books, but you can offer them a signed ebook instead. There's just one example for you. Online events, these are a great opportunity, in my opinion, to take advantage of this new feature. Basically allows you to engage with readers in a digital signing event, book club event, things like that. And imagine if you could host a book signing event whenever you wanted from the comfort of your couch. You can even wear sweatpants, whatever the case might be. So online opportunities to sign ebooks, that's honestly, there's a lot of room there for you to leverage this feature. Social media live streams would be one of those. This could be a way for you to build your mailing list. If you do have an existing social media presence and live streaming is something you're comfortable with, you can give away signed copies of your reader magnet to people who just stumble upon your live stream and discover you there. We've given you a few tools to make that happen, and I'll talk to you about that when we get to that point during the demo as well. So if you stream on TikTok or YouTube or what have you, that becomes an opportunity for you to reach new readers and grow your mailing list at the same time because they can join your mailing list in order to get the free signed ebook. Assigned ebooks, of course, can be used as giveaways, prizes for contests, or as a reward for mailing list subscribers. And I think I'm going to am I going to get ahead of myself? I always talk ahead of my bullet points. There it is, Kickstarter. For whatever reason, these two are the same in my mind, right? Kickstarter and Patreon awards, they work for that as well. But there you go. Those are some use cases for you for digital ebook signing, right? Lots of things that you can use it for. Lots of ways to slot it into what you're already doing. I think it's going to really shine in virtual settings. It will be kind of interesting and unique at an in-person setting. I have some thoughts on that though, and I want to give you guys kind of I want to give it to you straight from the source and where I think it's going to work best for you. So let's go ahead and demo this, shall we? Let's show you guys what we are looking at. Oops, here we go. So if you are on your dashboard, this is where you can kind of follow along with me a little bit if you want to. You're going to find this on your dashboard under author events. So that's where we're going to head first. We're going to head over here. I actually have an event created already, and we'll come back to this here in a minute. I'm going to do that thing that they do on like a cooking show, right? Have you seen one of those? The host is showing you how to prepare something, and then, oh well, I actually have one in the oven already that's done. And so that's what we're going to do. If we're wanting to create a new event, we'll come here to the action button, and we can add a new event. Now, I don't want you to get confused here. I do want to point this out first. When we say event, it can literally be for a discrete, specific event. You're going to a specific signing on a specific date and time. And so you're going to create a signing event for that. If that's what makes sense to you, you can totally do that. In a virtual setting, it becomes, I don't want it to be too confusing, but it could be a little fuzzy. Like, well, for example, if I'm going to do some signed ebook copies for like a social media live stream. And I'm not just going to live stream once, like I'm going to stream multiple times. I might have a streaming schedule, right? Where I'm going to stream once a week. You can reuse an event. So it doesn't have to be an event in the sense that like it has a definite end. And so I'll show you that here. When we go to add a new event, it'll take a moment here to spin up, but you'll see that we can put in dates. You can put in a start date. We can put in an end date, but they are optional. I don't have to put dates here. The dates for the event will make the event appear on your BookFunnel dashboard during the event, so you can quickly find it and launch it. And so that is useful for that reason. But if you want to just have it open-ended and be able to use it whenever you want to use it, you don't have to put dates in there if you don't want to. This is not going to break anything, the start date and the end date, by the way. That's just making it easier for you to find on your dashboard. Now, the event name, I do recommend that you put something in here that is relevant to the reader, because readers, in some cases, will be able to see this event name. So for that reason, I wouldn't just put in there like, oh, that signing event thing that I'm going to do, or something that you wouldn't want the readers to see. You want it to be reader facing because they'll be able to see this in one particular instance. And so I want to make sure you are aware of that. So when you put that info in there, it should be relevant. Like, something like, let's say, signing event. What's a good, let's see, Comic-Con 2026, right? Probably a specific city, right, in there, right? So if it were me, I'd put in like Des Moines. I'm in Des Moines, Iowa. So I put something in there like that. That might be an example of what you do. Because then the reader sees that, they're like, oh yeah, it's for Des Moines Comic-Con. Okay, that makes sense. Cool, right? Whatever the case might be. You can add dates in here, and we will. I'll go ahead and add some dates, I think. Am I actually guessing on the date of Des Moines Comic-Con? I don't know, but let's go ahead and actually, you know what? Let's do it for right now today, because I wanted to show up on the dashboard so I can show you guys that. Just to be safe, let's make it the second. And so I'm going to say it's going to be these dates, and that's when I want it to show up on my dashboard for me to find it more easily. Now, it will always be under your events tab. You can always go back there and find it. But when it's actually live during those dates, it'll show on your dashboard more prominently for you. Your integration list. This is the list, the mailing list that you want it to be connected to. When you sign an ebook for someone, they have the option to join your mailing list. And so you can enable that and select a list that you want them to be able to join. Right? Very simple. If you don't have integrations, don't worry. Everything gets saved to a CSV file, and you can export that just like you would from any other landing page. Now, the books for this event, this is where you're going to select your books. And so I'll pick this, or Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. That's the book that I'm going to be signing in this case, but I could select multiple books. For example, Zoom is making me click on stuff. There we go. I can select multiple books. Those books will then just be available to me during the signing event to sign. This is not giving the reader a choice of which book they want signed. That's up to you. So you actually have control over this. You have the ability to select which book you're signing. That means if you're doing a signing event where you are maybe signing some books that you're giving away for free, but you're signing some books that you're also selling, you can have all of those books in one event. And if you're signing a book that was purchased, you would just select that book. If you're signing a book that is free, you would select that book instead. Now, we have had requests to allow readers to select which book they want to have signed and that sort of thing. Something we might implement in the future, potentially maybe, but there's also a comment field that exists already. And so you can, and this is in the submission form where they can request a signed copy. I'll show you that here in a moment. On that landing page, they can put in a comment and request if they want a specific book to be signed. So you could use that in the interim. Now, we've done all of that basic stuff so far. We can then enable a landing page. This is where the event name is going to show up. And this is why I highlighted that earlier. You can, of course, change this. You can get rid of this, but this variable is using the event name that you placed up here. So if you want this to say something else, you totally can. If you want to add something in front of this, right? Looking forward to meeting you at event name, for example, and it will put in the event name there. And then it by default says sign up below to get a signed ebook from the author. But again, you can add whatever you want to add here. Any text formatting, you can add additional links. If you are on the bestseller plan, you can insert an image. For example, if you want to insert different book covers, you can do that here as well. And then there is an option for a page message in addition to that. And that will show up on the landing page as well. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that shows up kind of under the fold, but below the option where they're submitting their information to request a signed copy. This mailing list checkbox text, right? By default, I would like to join the author's mailing list to receive special offers and updates. You can change that if you want to. Right, but we have everything set up here that we need to. It's pretty quick and painless, right? So far. And so we just need to then save and close. And now this event for Des Moines Comic-Con is here created on our dashboard, right? Now, if we go to, let's see, if we go home, it should, well, here, we'll find that later. At any rate, let's go ahead and take a look at what we've created here. Right. We have our event with our start date, our end date, all that information. We can launch the signing window. We'll do that here in a second. We have the reader's sign up page, which I'll show you here in a second. And then, of course, we have our readers that we can export as a CSV file. So that's everything that's going on right here. We have a few presets. This is some additional information for the signing. And so I want to show you this first because this is actually something you would want to do first before you just launch the signing event and dive right into it. So these signature presets, these allow you to customize the colors that you have available to sign with during the signing event. And what I recommend you do is head on over to Canva's color palette generator. You can upload your book cover and it will give you 4 colors, pulling them from your book cover and give you those hex codes. These are very specific colors, right? You'll notice each one of these has a 6-digit alphanumeric code. That is for that very specific shade, right, of that color. And so this is what you're going to use for these signature presets as well. Now we have some here by default. Black and white are always there, and we give you a few different colors to work with, but you can then add additional presets. You, of course, have the option to go through the rainbow here and randomly pick a color, but I don't really recommend that you do that because you want to get that exact shade of purple that complements your book cover. If you know the color wheel here, complementary colors are something I suggest. Black and white can also be very versatile depending on what you're doing. But that's why I recommend this color palette generator, at least as a starting. If you want to pull a more specific color from a specific part of your book cover, you would want to use software. Canva can do this, or many other photo editing softwares can do this, which is like an eyedropper that would allow you to click on a specific point on your book cover and actually pull that hex code from that specific place. This color palette generator that Canva has just kind of does that automatically. It doesn't really give you control over which colors it's pulling, but it can be a quick and easy solution, right, to give you some colors to work with. Now, our books for this event, you'll see here, we have Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and we have this option to add an image. I'll show you here because we're going to go over to the version that I created in just a moment, where I've uploaded several of these already. So we'll go back here to our author events, our ebook signing basics webinar. You'll see I've already added those colors from the color palette generator in here. I actually removed the other colors too. You can click that X icon. If there's a color that you don't want to have available, you don't want it to show up, you can just get rid of it. And you'll notice here I've added several images here that I can sign. And so basically what I recommend you do, if you head on over to Canva, right, you can create I've created these tip-in sheets using some artwork from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. Thankfully, it's easy to find, right? But you might have some additional artwork. I went for kind of a minimalist, right? Giving me plenty of room to sign with the artwork in the bottom corner. You can do all sorts of different things. Use your book cover. Even as an example here, I do have that one as an option. Here I have a portrait of the author, in this case, Lewis Carroll, if he's doing an ebook signing. You might sign your own portrait. I don't know if that's something you'd want to do or not. And then I also have an example here of the title page, which I've taken an image of, and that is what I would be signing in that case. When we launch the event window, you'll see that all of these are available for me when I select a book to sign, and then I can sign whatever I want. But I can also choose to have where these will go in the book. So there's a drop-down menu here that allows me to select, say, the title page. I've chosen the epigraph for these images, and I've chosen not to replace that chapter. Instead, it will just be inserted in front of the epigraph. I've included the cover, and I've selected the cover and told BookFunnel, replace that chapter or that section with this signed image. In this case, it is the book cover. And so that section of the ebook is replaced with the actual signed cover. Likewise, here I have the portrait set up for the introduction, and then the title page set up to replace the actual title page in the ebook. So now I go to launch my signing window, and it's going to look something like this. You'll see I've got a spot to enter the reader's name and email, check a box if they'd like to join my mailing list. I only have one book to sign, but if I had multiples, they would show up in a row right here, and I could select from those. I can also reset the form. I should mention that if you need to do that. And after I've selected the book and put in some emails, I can then sign for those readers. But you might be saying, like, well, is there an easier way to do this than having to manually enter everything? And yes, there is. That's what this reader sign up page is for. This is that landing page that we created, right, when we were setting up the event. The ebook signing basics webinar, there's that event name we talked about, first name and email. I'm actually going to go ahead and drop this here into the chat. If some of you folks wouldn't mind heading on over there, keep in mind, this is going to be here on Zoom, right? Right. So some people might see the information you put in there. But if some of you wouldn't mind, just for demonstration purposes today, you can even put in an email that's not an actual email, right? Submit a name and email to that, and those will pop up here in a second, right? Because this is what you would typically want to do first. You'd want to provide readers with this page where they can submit their name, their email address, right? So here I'll go ahead and put in my name, right? And I can optionally leave a comment, right? Maybe if there's right, I want them to say, please write to my biggest fan or something like that. They have the option to do that. And then if they'd like to join your mailing list, they can check this box. Excuse me. And then once you submit the information, this is the message that that reader receives. All right. So now if we go back to this event and reload, thank you, folks. So you'll see here, we have a whole bunch of names that have shown up because we gave this link out to folks. We'll talk about how you'll get that link to readers in different contexts here in a minute, because it's going to depend if it's a virtual event, is it an in-person event? Like, how are we getting this link to people? We'll talk about that. But we've got all of these here. And so I can, instead of having to manually enter this, I can instead scroll down and sign this copy for Jack, right? That adds that information there automatically. You're probably going to want to do it from the top down, whatever the case may be. And then you select the book to sign, select the part of the book that you want to sign. Let's go ahead and do that, the title page here. And you'll see that now I can go ahead and sign this ebook, right? I'm on a trackpad. So keep that in mind. And also, I'm not going to be signing as Lewis Carroll. That feels wrong to me. So I'm going to use my own signature. But you can just, on a trackpad, I recommend you click with one hand and then sign with the other. And it's not too bad. My signature is my initials. On an iPad, this is a lot easier because you can just, especially if you have an Apple Pencil, sign like you normally would. It makes it pretty easy, right? But on a trackpad, it's not terrible if you get used to it. You'll notice that the reader's name and their note will appear here at the top so that we can see that and refer back to it, right? If they wanted to say, like, to my biggest fan, you could do that all in here. This is why I recommend you have a tablet, because that would be impossible to do on a trackpad. On a computer, it'd be very difficult to do on a phone because the screen's so small. On a tablet, much easier to do. But we're done with this one, so we can save and send, and then that will send that off to the reader. And so that reader gets an email with that ebook. I'll sign a couple more here. So we've got Lori. We'll go ahead and, you know what? Let's actually do the portrait here. And so you'll see here, I can select different colors, kind of like from a drop down, right? And let's go with white, and I'll sign. There we go. And we'll save and send that off, right? Just like so. And then we can go down this whole list and sign for everybody, right? And maybe I guess I'll have to after this is all done, right? I don't have time to sign for everybody right now, but hey, that's your little souvenir from the webinar. So to back up a step, right, let's review. After we've created this signing event, I recommend you customize the presets, pick the colors that you want. You can use Canva to help you out there a little bit. Add your custom tip-in sheets. It can just be the book cover or the cover art. It can be anything you want it to be, the title page. Tons of options. Select where you want those individual tip-in sheets to go and whether or not they're going to replace that chapter of the book. And then we're going to probably want to share this reader sign-up page in some way. If you are at an in-person event, what I recommend you do, and I have an example here because we were doing this at Reader Nation. So I was signing one of my books, and we had this lovely reflective laminated page. Shows my book cover. Get your ebook signed by the author with a QR code. That QR code is actually a link to a reader sign-up page tied to a different event, but you get the idea. And you can actually generate that QR code right from your dashboard. BookFunnel now allows you with any link on your dashboard to generate a QR code. You can generate that and then download it as an image, use that in your print materials. So if you're doing a signing event, that's what I recommend you do. Somebody pulls out their phone. They just have to pull out their phone's camera, point it at this QR code. In fact, you could do it right now if you wanted to with the one on screen to test it out yourself. Just use your phone's camera and it will pull up. Basically, they'll be able to kind of tap on it and it will open their browser to that landing page. They can then submit their information, so forth. So for an in-person event, that's how you would use it. I recommend using a QR code, right? Rather than manually entering their information. It's just a lot easier that way. Right? But if you're at doing a virtual event, you can just use this link. In some cases for virtual events, particularly if you were doing a live stream where you're not able to share a link, that can sometimes happen. You can include that QR code on the screen. And so somebody can take a screenshot. It's a little janky, but they can take a screenshot, and then from that screenshot, they can actually click on the QR code. Because QR codes are great. QR codes have actually been around for a long time, but they've just recently become more mainstream, right? So that's how you would use it, right? We want to send this link to readers in advance, maybe through our mailing list for a virtual signing we're doing. And so that way they've signed up ahead of time. Maybe we want to give this away to just anybody in our newsletter. We're not doing a particular event. We're just going to be signing copies for people if they ask for them. And so we can just have this in our newsletter, request a signed copy, and then maybe once or twice a week you go in and sign those requests. Maybe you are selling signed ebooks through your online store, your direct sales store. And so you're selling those books. Send readers this link with their confirmation to then submit their information and request the signature. And then you can, again, come back and once or twice a week or whenever you want to do it, sign those requests for those readers. At an in-person event, have it visible on signage or any other marketing materials that you have available there where it's relevant. Include that there as well, right? So a number of ways that you can use this link. Once you've gotten readers to that link or you've made that link available and then you're ready to go, that's when you launch the signing window. So if we're at the in-person event there, you can have this window open on your tablet, ready to go. If you are at a virtual event, I'd still recommend using a tablet. Right? Maybe you're on a Zoom call like this with a virtual book club and you're talking to all your readers. You'd be signing ebooks as you go along. People could be, just like I shared the link with you all in the Zoom chat, you do the very same thing for your readers, right? Zoom is very intimate, by the way. Great way to do that for your readers, like on your mailing list. Like a public live stream is very different kind of vibe to it. But if you wanted to do that, you could do that there as well. You just have that probably open on another screen is what I would suggest. If you're doing some kind of virtual event, I would do the signing on a separate screen. I also wouldn't really recommend sharing this signing window with people while you're signing books for people because, again, personal information. In this case, everybody here, we're professionals. I think we can trust each other for the most part. But all right, if you were doing a signing with a virtual signing with a whole bunch of your readers who are just random people, yeah, you don't want to show people's personal information in that context, right? So that is the long and short of it. But there's one more thing, one more context, and I should explain this because somebody's inevitably going to ask, "What about Kickstarter?" Right? I'm just, instead of sending this link to everybody, I want a signed ebook to be one of my rewards for one of my tiers, my backer tiers, or maybe it's something for my patrons on Patreon. And I don't want them to have to go to this link. I have the list of readers. Right? I have the readers myself. Maybe I've collected those. Maybe you just want to sign an ebook for everybody, right? And you've got the list already. Launch your signing window and you'll see this button right here. I'm going to zoom in on. You can import readers. So once you click that, you will be able to import a list of readers. Just copy and paste those email addresses in here. They will all get imported and then they will be added to the waiting readers list and you can go in and sign them. So you don't have to have them submit, right? When you already have their email address anyway, like with a Kickstarter, they don't have to go through all those hoops. You just import their email address. You take care of it for them instead. Right. All right. I think for the most part, that brings us to the end of the demo here. I want to have some time for questions because we do have another webinar after this. So Kelly, what do the people want to know today?
All right. Lots of questions
I bet.
about mostly there's been quite a few about direct sales. So I want to hit that one first, even though it might not be up at the top. So there were a little bit of confusion about what happens if they've already purchased the book from you directly. Also, what happens if they have it on, say, Amazon and they purchased it from another retailer like Amazon. So what happens to the former cover or the former book?
Right. So basically, if it's in their BookFunnel library, What happens to that book, that sort of thing. And then what if they've sideloaded it? If I'm understanding the gist
Yeah.
of it. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah.
Right. So if the book is already in their BookFunnel library, one of two things will happen. And here's where it makes a difference. When you are creating your event or editing your event details, what matters is which book you add to the event. You'll notice I actually have like dozens of versions of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland on this demo account. And so I would have to, if I selected the same, here we go. We have Alice Direct Sales. If I selected that version of the book, and this is, by the way, the direct sales, that's a label I gave that book. That's not something BookFunnel did. But if I have labeled a book as such, and I have created a delivery action for that same book, that reader has purchased that book through my store, and it's intended to be signed, I can come back later, sign the book for them, sign that ebook, and so long as it is the same book ID on BookFunnel, that book in their BookFunnel library gets updated with the new signed image. So they don't get a second copy of the book. It just updates the one that's already there. Now, if they have side-loaded the book already, let's say they purchased the book and they immediately send it to Kindle to start reading it, still excited to get your signature, of course, but they sent it to Kindle to start reading, and then you do the signature. Well, it will update in their BookFunnel library, but the copy of the book that they sent over to Kindle, it's not going to be updated. We can't, Amazon won't let us do that. Amazon won't let us update that file in that way. They will have to send to Kindle again in order to get that over there to that device. But if they read from their BookFunnel library anyway, it's very seamless. And sending to Kindle from BookFunnel, particularly with send to Kindle's browser method, is pretty painless. So just keep that in mind. That would be sort of how it would work for readers in that.
Okay. Couple of questions regarding Kindle Select and if the
Mhm.
book is in KU, are you allowed to
Yeah,
give it away at in-person signing events?
sure. Two answers here. If your ebook is enrolled in KDP Select, you are not, their terms of service do not allow you to sell or give away that book in ebook format anywhere. Now, if you do an in-person or a virtual signing event is maybe still a little iffy, but if you do a signing event and you sign an ebook for somebody and that ebook is enrolled in Kindle Unlimited, is Amazon going to find out? Is the question. I'm addressing this because I know some of you are thinking it. Amazon's probably not going to find out unless you were like publicly shouting it from the rooftops, running ads, posting it publicly on your website, or something like that. Amazon's probably not going to find out. So it's up to you whether or not you want to take that risk. I personally can't recommend that you do that because it would be a violation of KDP Select's terms. But I know some of you will be like, well, they'll never find out. So yeah, it's possible. You could do it. BookFunnel will not stop you from doing it, but keep that in mind. Right. My general suggestion, if you want to do an ebook signing for a book that is in KDP Select, sign some cover art for them, sign a reader magnet instead. Unfortunately, it's just not going to be, it's not particularly easy to deal with that KDP Select, right? Unless you don't really care, right? And that's your choice. And I do see a follow-up question related to this from Tamara. If not KDP Select, but they bought it on Amazon, that those are, so essentially they bought it from Amazon, they got it from Amazon, they could still get it from you. There's nothing preventing them in that case. They bought it on Amazon, but it's not in KDP Select. You could sign it for them. But when they send it over to their Kindle, they will then have two copies of the book, because Amazon Kindle delineates between books that were purchased from the Kindle store and books that were sideloaded. So they will wind up with two copies on their device if they bought one from Amazon and then get one from you that's signed.
Okay, so we have another question. Can you use the same event for all book club or online purposes and call it like book club signings?
Oh, yeah. Yep, you can. You can go in and reuse it. And a couple things, if you just if you don't want readers to see this name, just delete this variable and then they won't see it. You can get rid of that variable and it won't show up. And you can just make this kind of a generic page and then you can use it for whatever you want. So you could in fact you could create literally one event on your dashboard that you use for everything if you wanted to. I think there's good reason to have different events for different things, in my opinion. But if you're like, no, I just want to have one event and I'm just going to use that for all the things I'm doing, you could do that feasibly.
Okay, Brooke was asking is when you were going over the start and end dates, can you enter a start but not an end date? And will it show up on the dashboard tab?
Oh, we should be able to. Let me see here. Yeah, we have a start date without an end date. So yes, you can. And like I said, these are optional. So yes, you could put a start date on there without having an end date. Absolutely.
Okay, so we had a question then about integrating with direct sales. It would be cool to have direct sales be signed as a neat bonus for buying direct. You might have covered this, but what's the best way to handle it as
Yeah.
of right now since we don't have them tied to
Right.
delivery actions?
Right. So I do want to say in the future, we do want to make it so that it's more seamless and you would have on the delivery action level, be able to like check a box that says these ebooks are supposed to be signed. And then those an event is kind of created tied to the delivery act. It'd be a whole thing, right? I don't need to go into that right now. That's a future webinar when we implement that feature. For right now, we don't have that. So you could create an event. I would create an event specifically for direct sales signings, add all the books in your store to this event. So you would add everything. So they're all there, right? Whatever tip in sheets you want to add, whatever custom, signature presets, anything. And then you have a couple of options. You can provide this link to readers. Wouldn't be a bad idea to do that. Provide that to them in their confirmation email. On the actual download page, you can customize that under your delivery action settings. You can do this in multiple places, right? And you can provide them this link, and then they will put their information there, and that's how you'll then deliver the signature. Alternatively, from your sales dashboard, you can go view your delivery actions. And keep in mind, this is a demo account. I only have, well, I think, do I have anything on, probably on PayHip? Yep, there's a few here. I can export a CSV of all transactions and then import those to the signing event. Remember, if we want to import, we do have to launch the window first and then import our readers. But you could go do that and import everything that's new since the last time you did it. And then you have all those readers there to sign for right there. So it makes it pretty easy to do it that way, to just export them. Like I said, in the future, we want to streamline that so you don't have to do that. You don't have to jump through so many hoops. But for now, that would be the best way to do it, is one of those two methods.
Okay, so Jim and Angela both had questions about the image size. What should the image size be if you want to entirely replace the title page? And then
Mm.
also, when creating an image in Canva, what size are you using?
Yep. So you'll want to make sure that you match the page size, which can sometimes vary a little. Like, for example, if you're, because in some circumstances, you wouldn't want to use, like, what I'm trying to say is you wouldn't want to use like a landscape image for a portrait. Generally, as long as you're using portrait dimensions, you should be good. Like 8.5 by 11 usually is fine. I'll have to check with our engineering team to see if there's some more exact specifications that are ideal. Although Kelly, I don't know if you happen to know off the top of your head, but I
No,
think as long as you're, yeah,
I just used when I went into Canva to make mine for the signing event that I did. I just used like the cover creator. It
that
gave
too.
like a book cover
And
size, basically. I don't know.
yes,
I'm not great with like dimensions, but
Canva,
and then I
yeah,
just replaced the background with like my image that I wanted to do.
Canva does have an option. I think it's like an ebook cover or something like that, and that is
Hmm.
pretty good. Your cover though might be slightly different dimensions because technically BookFunnel supports whatever dimensions you make when you upload a book cover. So keep that in mind. but generally portrait dimensions 8.5 by 11 roughly. But if you're doing Canva, yeah, I would just go with an ebook cover. It's not going to break anything unless you do something really weird, right? Where you're doing like I said, like a landscape image, but it's, an ebook, which is generally in portraits. It's the main consideration there.
Okay. Is it possible for someone to buy the ebook, the signed ebook, then have the signed ebook sent to someone else? I think probably through the setup, yes, because it would be whatever the form that you have them fill out goes to whoever. Yeah.
Yes,
But they
a
would
different
they would
email.
still get they would actually still get two copies if you did that. Because you would, if you did direct sales and you delivered through a delivery action, then you sign it to go to someone and they sign it to go to someone else, then the other person will get the email delivering the signed copy. Does that make sense?
Right. Right. Yes. So that is in kind of a weird sort of way that could make a gift purchase. Wow, that's
That's
an
really,
interesting use case.
yeah.
That's not that's an off-label usage of the feature, kind of. Because the weird part about it would be like, I'm buying a book. I mean, I guess you could still go and sign it for them, but you're giving them that link to that submission form, the reader sign up page, and saying they can put in somebody else's email, and then they can get the book. That kind of works. That's interesting. Okay, anyway, uh, I digress. The only weird part about it is if the purchased copy doesn't get signed then. So the one who bought the book and the gift doesn't get a signed copy. That'd be where I would make sure you go in and probably sign it for them too. Right. We have a few minutes here. We've got to get to the next session. So we do have some time for maybe one or two more questions, Kelly.
Okay, so if someone bought a copy somewhere else like KU and you verified that, you could provide them with a free signed copy. Yes, you could do that if that was your choice. I think a lot of people are a little bit not unsure of like what if the reader has a copy of your book elsewhere, just to verify. It's really up to you to give them another copy.
Here's what I will tell you. If your books are in KDP Select or KU and you're not sure, don't do it,
Yeah,
because I
I
don't
took
want you
mine
to
out.
feel nervous about it.
Yeah, I went to Author Nation. I pulled my books out of KU to sign. So
Yeah.
that's what I did.
Sign the book cover for them. You can create a book on BookFunnel that is just the book cover and sign the cover art for them. Right? Do that instead. That's what I suggest you do. Or sign a reader magnet if you're nervous about it. Because yeah, like nobody wants to hurt Jeff's feelings and get in trouble, right? So I totally get that. But some of you might be a little bit more brave and be like, you know what, who cares? You do you. But if you have any reservations at all about it, I would just avoid it. I would just do your reader magnet instead. And that's just what I would have to suggest for now. For those of you who are brave enough to do it, yeah, if you get caught, you probably knew in advance what you were doing, right? That is what it is.
We do have one more question I think we should cover. If there are multiple authors for a book, how would it work? I don't know if you went into that.
It's not allowed. You're not allowed to have multiple authors for a book. Yeah, like, what are you? No, I'm kidding. Of course you are. We are able to do that.
It's a safe draft. Yeah.
Yes. So I didn't show it because it's not exactly basic, but yes, you can. Oh, I must have a different one up here. Oh, well. And so I can sign here myself and then save. And then my co-author can come back and then continue signing. So you'll see how this one here is green. I believe that means that a signature has been added. And when you go back to sign it again, it's already there. So that you can save a draft and then come back to it. And then your co-author could sign it, even if you're not in the same location. All right, folks, we do have to wrap it up there. Of course, we do have another session here starting in a few minutes. 5 more reader magnets every author needs. This is a sequel to our session, 5 reader magnets every author needs. I just added more to it to be maybe a little bombastic, but it'll be a good time if you want to join us there. I just dropped the link to that in for Zoom. Hope to see you there. I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, we'll head on over there. 5 more reader magnets every author needs. The replay for this one is going to be added on YouTube here by the end of the week. So you can come back and watch it again if you want to. All right, folks, thank you for joining us today. I will hopefully see you here in just another moment for 5 more reader magnets every author needs. Otherwise, have a good one. I'll see you probably next year for BookFunnel Live in January. Take care, folks. Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos from BookFunnel, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.